Today, we're going to be going through a really nourishing facial practice, just making it lovely and relaxing. I really wanted to do this now as the world is obviously starting to open up a little bit, which is amazing. But this so often leads to all of us reversing back to old patterns, saying yes to everything, overcommitting, and it's at the expense of our own, really taking every single drop out of this bottle, at the expense of our own energy and well-being. In January, I did a little workshop that was all about New Year's resolutions around skin. And the way that we spoke about it was consistency is key, and to make a commitment, a daily, weekly, and monthly commitment to your skin. So things that you can do daily, weekly, and monthly. And I think this is actually a great thing to do around self-care practices as well. I know that lots of people have committed a lot of time to self-care. They've been trying out all different new and wonderful things, which is amazing. But I have found that when the other lockdowns have lifted, these have kind of gone out the window a little bit. And perhaps, again, it's a case of overcommitting. And then when the balance starts to shift a little bit, they just disappear. So I'd like to encourage people to make a daily, weekly, and monthly commitment to something, anything you enjoy and you find grounds you and keeps you feeling safe and relaxed. This can be doing a little bit longer on your cleanse, or making sure that you leave a moment in the morning for journaling, or making a cup of tea, or just carving out these little moments of time for yourself and giving yourself the opportunity and the space to just check in and see how you're actually feeling. I would also encourage people, and I always encourage my clients, to know that it's okay to say no, and also to be selfish when they want to. If you want to do something for you and other people want you to do something else, choose you. Like, it doesn't make you a bad person. It'll make you a better person, as you'll be able to show up for them more in the times that you're there. So that's my little chat about about protecting our energy when we go back. I think that this is something that we, particularly as women, do struggle with. Like, we do want to, I think that we are, like, by nature kind of people pleasers, and we do want to make people happy, but you can't pour from an empty cup, can you? Okay. Has everyone got their facial oil on? Yes. Cool. So we're just going to start by closing down the eyes, placing the third finger over the third eye, and we're going to do a little bit of massage here by doing some tiny, tiny circles. Closing down the eyes and taking this opportunity to just catch your breath. Deep inhalations, pausing at the top, and exhaling, letting your belly be soft. Noticing how fast your circle is going. Can you make it any slower? Could the circles be any smaller? Taking this opportunity to notice if your jaw is engaged at all. Is it clenched, or is it soft with space between the top and bottom jaw? Is your tongue resting softly in the mouth? Are your shoulders relaxed? And can you make your circles any slower? Any smaller? Or any softer? If you do ever find yourself in a place where you feel that your mind is quite full, this is a really powerful point to work on. Spending a minute or two here, doing a little check over your body. And if your mind wanders, you can always come back to your little circle. The feeling of touch on the skin. A couple more breaths here. Wonderful. Blinking open the eyes, we're going to take the flats of our hands and start to do some big strokes over the brow. Up the nose, up towards the hairline. Using heavy hands, so having as much surface area of the hands, touching the skin as possible. Wonderful. And we're just going to take these strokes over to one side of the brow, lifting that eyebrow a little bit, giving those frontalis muscles a little stretch, and taking it over to the other side in your own time. Moving slowly. With no true goal. We're not trying to smooth out any imperfections or wrinkles. You're just giving yourself a nice little bit of touch, soothing these muscles. Wonderful. Next, popping fingertips between the eyebrows. We're just going to go into some little circles, following the orbital bone. If it feels good for you, you can apply more pressure coming over the corrugators, the muscles that sit underneath the eyebrows. And we'll spend a few breaths here. If you do feel any little tender or juicy spots and you want to press and hold, and then carry on going, you definitely can. And we'll stay here for a little bit, so feel free to close down the eyes and really acknowledge how these muscles are feeling, the muscles that sit around the eyes. Is there any tiredness there? And think of this as a little treat for any tired muscles, soothing them, giving them a little break from focusing too hard on anything. And if you want to pay a little bit more attention to just one area, just underneath the eye or over the brow, you can do some little semicircles, repetitive semicircles here. If you're working under the eye, be sure to use a very, very light pressure. And just using this as an opportunity to check in once more. Do you have a little bit of space between the top and bottom jaw? Are your shoulders relaxed? Is the belly soft? Are your exhalations and inhalations long and even? Wonderful. Next time we come back onto the brows, we're just gonna press and hold the central point, so just directly up from the pupils in the eyebrows. Press and hold. If it feels tender at all, you can release, give it a little stroke, and come back to it. And we'll just hold this for a few breaths. This whole area of our face is so important and works so hard in expressing ourselves. So it's very linked to our emotions, all emotions. So a little bit of massage always feels quite lovely here. Really nice. Releasing and just giving some gentle strokes. Wonderful. And while we're here, just check in with your temples. Are you carrying any tension there? I would encourage you to work here with as much surface area of your fingers as possible, making sure to keep your self-massage practice really generous, keeping everything nice and slow. Really nice. We're going to jump to the back of the neck now. Using one hand to then the next, we're going to work up the neck muscles this way with fingertips on one side of the spine and then using your other hand on the other side. Lifting up those muscles, giving them a little pinch. And start to notice how all of this is feeling. You can work up into the head, into the hairline a little bit as well. Have you got any tension, any stiffness? If you do find any little points that you want to work on, you can just press and hold. And do some little circles into them. Really nice. Creating a little cup behind your head and just giving a nice stretch forward. Really nice. Coming up and taking the head to one side, having a nice stretch down one side of the neck. Always keeping space between the top and bottom jaw. Wonderful. And taking it onto the second side. Great. Placing hands just beneath the collarbones, applying a little bit of downwards pressure. We're just going to tip our head back to take a nice stretch up the front of the neck. This is all a little bit of preparation to start working into the jaw muscles, the masseter muscles. We're going to be working our way up to them. Really nice. Coming back to center. Creating some little fists, popping them behind the ears. We're going to work on a diagonal down to the points on the collarbone here. Taking it really, really slow. Like we're just stretching out these big muscles here, the sternocleidomastoid. If it feels more comfortable for you to do one side and then the other, you can, or you can do them both at the same time, whatever feels comfortable. If you don't like using fists, if that feels too strong, feel free to use fingertips like this. Wonderful. Next, taking flats of the hands or backs of the hands, whatever feels more comfortable to you. We're just going to do some kind of superficial strokes up the side of the neck, under the chin, and down to one side. Keeping it light, keeping it slow. Wonderful. Creating our little heart, we're going to pop thumbs underneath the chin, pinching gently and just starting to work out towards those big masseter muscles. So using this as an opportunity to just explore how the lower part of your face is feeling, how it's sitting. We are all quite prone, I think, to jaw clenching. So just this is an initial exploration before we do any deeper work. Trying to keep that little bit of space always between the top and bottom jaw. If you're getting stuck as you're going over these little speed bumps, you can give a little wiggle as you go over. Really nice. Next time you're coming out towards the side of the face, using whatever feels good for you, I'm going to be using these 2 fingers, start to make some really big circles over those masseter muscles. Using a light pressure, we're going to encourage a little bit of blood flow to them before we do any deeper work. And we'll stay with these circles for a minute or so. Feel free to close down the eyes. And once again, use this as an opportunity to notice what you're feeling in terms of touch. Do any areas feel harder or softer? Are you noticing any tender points? And if so, that is not an indication to go harder. It's an indication to treat yourself with kindness and do some gentle work before doing anything deeper. Are you still able to keep a little bit of space between the top and bottom jaw? Keeping the tongue soft in your mouth. Are you still taking long and even inhalations and exhalations? Do these muscles feel any different to when you started massaging them gently? Probably yes. Nice. Now taking the opportunity to slow down and increase the pressure slightly, using a kind of walking movement with fingers starting from the top of the masseter muscle that sits underneath the cheekbone, working down to the jaw where it finishes. Imagine that you're stretching out those muscular fibers. And if you notice any little tender points and you feel ready to do so, you can apply a little bit of deeper pressure. pressing and holding, or continuing to stretch out those muscles. Once again, make sure that you're keeping space between the top and bottom jaw. Really nice. Next, popping fingers just underneath the ear, so behind the jaw on the corner. And we're just going to walk down the little kind of corner of the jaw. You can do one side at a time or both at the same time, whatever feels comfortable to you. Just giving this little connection a bit of a stretch. Really nice. And whenever you've had enough, feel free to come back to those big circles once more. Great. And just following with some downward strokes down the neck to just move away any stagnation that we have released from the muscles. Nice. Letting your hands be heavy and just rolling your shoulders, rolling out the wrists, and just relaxing the arms for a little bit. Feel free to do this at any point during the massage practice. Taking flats of hands, we're going to start to do some big generous strokes up one side of the face. Working from just underneath the jaw to just underneath the cheekbones. Keeping it really big. There's no right or wrong way to do this, so long as you're working up. Noticing if you're holding on to anything here. Really nice. And just moving on to the second side. Again, noticing if this side feels any different. It's completely normal for the face to feel different on different sides. We're not symmetrical. Really nice. Wonderful. Great. Next, bringing fingertips just next to the side, just to the side of the mouth. We're just going to work out here. So applying a little bit of pressure. This is working into some of the muscles that also tense when our jaw is tense. I feel that releasing tension from muscles has like a real connection to the tension in your mind, like how you instantly feel relaxed after having a nice full body massage. Really nice. And working with fingertips still, we're just going to take them underneath the cheekbones, not applying too much pressure, and working out underneath them, out towards the hinge of the jaw. And just checking in that everything is still nice and soft and relaxed. That no sneaky bits of tension have come back in. Toes are relaxed, ankles are relaxed, shoulders are relaxed. And just like with anywhere, if you find any little tender points or areas that you want to press and hold and work a little bit deeper in, definitely go ahead. All massage practices, self practices should be intuitive. So wonderful. Next, taking these middle fingers, popping them in the center of the nasolabial lines, these little lines here, we're going to work on a diagonal up to the temples, both at the same side, applying a little bit of extra pressure. When you go over the temples, you can go all the way up to the heels of the hands if that feels good to you. Taking it really slow. Again, we're working here into muscles that are involved in the way we express ourselves, the zygomaticus, the muscles that lie over the cheeks and run up to the temples. If you've spent all day fake smiling in meetings, this is quite a nice one to work on to give it a little bit of a rest. Wonderful. How is everyone feeling? Good? Good. We're going to move on to a little eye sequence now. If you need a bit more oil, if you can't move freely around the eyes, I'd recommend getting it now. So we already worked on this a little bit at the beginning, but we're going to do a little bit deeper work into the eyes. I think they have such a tough time. I know we're on a screen, but I think they have such a tough time with the amount of screen time we have. So I think it's wonderful to give them a little work. Taking our ring fingers, we're going to start to press and slide, working our way out to the side and coming back. Repeating this a few times. We'll stay here for a little bit. And any of these massage moves, if any of them resonate with you, but you feel that you don't have time to get them into your daily routine, just pick one or two and do it while you're doing a cleanse, do it while you're putting on your SPF, do it while you're applying your night cream. It can be done at any time. It doesn't have to be a big song and dance. Wonderful. Really nice. Coming up to the top lid, we're going to do the same. Press and hold, press and hold, press and hold on the soft bit of the eye rather than the brow. Working all the way out to the side of the face and then coming back. And repeating this a few times. If you have been suffering with any kind of tired eyes, puffiness, dark circles, I would really recommend working at the top as well as the bottom. I mean, sleep is the ultimate help, but this is second to it. Really nice. Coming back up to the brows, we're going to use our thumb and our third finger, middle finger, to pinch and hold, holding for a breath or so. And release and move slightly over and repeat. Working across the brows, the corrugator muscles. And if you want to release tension in these muscles, if they feel a little bit tender or tight to you, I would recommend holding for longer than you normally would. Staying in each hold for a few seconds if it feels okay for you. When you get to the end, coming back and repeating a couple of times. Once again, checking in. Is everything soft? Is there still tension? I mean, space between the top and bottom jaw. Repeating one more time. Wonderful. Whenever you're ready, just finishing off with a few strokes over the eyebrows. Really nice. And while we're here, coming back to a little bit of temple massage, or working intuitively, going to wherever you think could use a little bit more attention. Really nice. So the muscles that we're working on at the moment, the temporalis muscles, fan out into the hairline. They're not just these soft little areas on our face. So we're going to move up into the hair and into the head and start to work on some of these muscles. I'm just going to let my hair out for this. So using fingertips, you can work up and down, back and forth on these frontalis muscles that look exactly like this. As you're doing it, apply pressure away from the face and contract your fingers to pull back in. If you want to take it a little bit further, you can start to do some shampooing moves, working into the whole head. Feel free to shut down the eyes. And use it as an opportunity to just explore how the muscles that sit over the skull are feeling. Notice that your thumbs are most likely at the top of your neck, the base of the head. So using them to do some deeper work under the occipital is really lovely. And I would encourage you to move very slowly, applying a deeper pressure. These muscles typically aren't that sensitive. And it's lovely to work a little bit deeper into them. Nice. If it's more comfortable for you to work with one hand, to work on one side and then the other, do whatever feels good for you. Working on the sides of the head and the occipital, and also the crown of the head. Really nice. Taking some fingertips, popping them just behind the ears, and doing some tiny circles from top to bottom. So I'll show you on my hand as you can't see behind my ears. Pressing and holding some little static circles, doing one, moving down slightly, doing the next, from top to bottom. These are the areas as therapists that we really work into when we know that one of our clients is feeling very stressed, as they're just wonderful little relaxation points. Really nice. Taking peace fingers, popping them either side of the ears, and just slowly going up and down here. Really nice. Before we go back onto the neck and finish up with a little bit of hand massage, I just want to come back to this central point. Doing your tiny circles, closing down the eyes, and just taking a moment to notice how the muscles in your face, neck, and head are feeling. Do they feel any different to when we first started? Do you notice any less tension across the forehead, the eyebrows, the temples? Do the muscles that run around the eyes feel any lighter? Do the big masseter muscles, jaw muscles that carry so much stress for us, feel any softer. Noticing how the touch feels over this point now. Staying here for a couple more breaths. Can your circle be any slower? Any smaller? And I'd like you to think about the intentions or the commitments that you've made to yourself and the self-care practices that you want to keep with you as the world starts to open up. Wonderful. Blinking open the eyes, taking some nice strokes up the forehead. And just floating down to the neck. Wonderful. So how are you both feeling? Are you okay? Yeah, good. Before we finish up, I know that it's not very hygienic to start massaging your face in public when you're out in the world. This is more of an at-home activity. So I just wanted to share a little bit of hand reflexology with you that you can do when you're out and about. You actually don't need anything, any product or anything. You can do it on just like dry hands, and you can do it anywhere you are. So just a few points for any moments of anxiety or stress. So starting with the top of the thumb, we're going to just work along all the fingers and finish on the solar plexus, which is here in the center of the hand. So starting with the thumb, we'll just spend a little bit of time here. So these points represent the head, the mind, the brain, our thoughts. Really nice. Moving on to the second finger. So this is something that you can do when you're stood in queues or in places where there are lots of other people waiting to get on the tube. I don't know if anyone else remembers doing those things, but they might happen again soon. Wonderful. Moving on to the third finger. And with pressure, my advice is that if you want something to work, you're feeling quite stressed and you're like, oh, I'm going to work this point because I want it to be really good, always use a lighter pressure. Harder is not going to be better. Harder is going to be worse. Always take it lighter and slower and kinder whenever you're feeling like that. Moving on to the fourth finger. And if on any of these points you do feel any little tender bits or bubbles, you can spend a little bit more time working there. And moving on to your little finger. Really nice. The final point is just here in the center of the hand, underneath the kind of bony bit, and you can just work there doing some little circles. So these are like the emergency ones when you're out and about with no tools, you haven't got your essential oils, you haven't got opportunity to just pop on a little meditation. This is something that you can do wherever you are. Really nice. Giving your wrists a little wind out, shrugging your shoulders back a little bit, having a little wiggle and a sigh, and you're all done. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm sorry if my boyfriend's sneezing ruined your Zen. It ruins mine as well. And yeah.
I thought you had a puppy. It sounded like a bark.
I actually think he does it on purpose because nobody needs to sneeze that loudly. Like I bet our neighbors are like pulling their hair out at the sound of it. And it's at the same time every day. So it is very predictable, but it's still quite annoying.
I'm sad it wasn't a pup.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're grown up enough for a puppy.
Thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me. Do you have any questions at all? No?
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks so much, Helen. Oh, it's really lovely to see you both. The next workshop is end of the month, which is a gua sha workshop all about lifting, toning, sculpting.
Excellent.
More cosmetic. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
And hopefully see you both soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.